Flooding is an underrated killer. You know, we have these other thunderstorm threats that we see. We have tornadoes, we have large hail, damaging wind from time to time. But to be honest, flooding seems to impact our area almost every year. If you actually look at our fatalities from weather-driven events, we've had more flood-related deaths in southeast Minnesota and the region than any other type of phenomenon. If you go back to August of 2007, we had 10 to 15 inches of rainfall during a 24-hour period in these areas where we have these steeper hills and valleys. Those types of rains led to tremendous flash flooding, and we ended up losing 7 lives that night. So when we talk about flooding and that it is a serious threat, we hope people take that threat very seriously. When you get excessive rainfall from thunderstorms, it tends to run off very quickly in this area, and it can catch people off guard. If it's night too, where it's dark out, people can't always see that danger, and they end up sometimes, unfortunately, driving into high water. So we would always urge people to heed the flash flood warnings out there, take the threats seriously, never drive around barricades, things like that, because most of these flood-related deaths are preventable. Most of them occur from people driving into high water, and it's just a matter of educating people and trying to get them not to do that. Another thing we find with flooding is a lot of the fatalities from people driving into high water involve people trying to do their daily routines. So you have to think about, if there is water over that road that you always take to and from work or to and from school, today might be a little different if there's water over it. So you have to find a different route and realize that sometimes weather is going to get you out of your routine. It's much better to find a different route and stay safe than being an unfortunate incident where you drive into it. Another thing that we'll always have to keep an eye on is, given the fact that everything is so wet and river levels are higher than they might be going into a normal spring, we have to kind of keep an eye as we go through the summer for repeat rounds of thunderstorms. So if we get into patterns where we have excessive thunderstorms, the risk of flash flooding might be a little higher this year through the 2019 season compared to other years where it might have been drier. So we'll have to see how it pans out, but if you start hearing about flash flood watches, warnings, make sure you heed those and be very careful in water areas.